Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. This is the School Health Advisory Council, or SHAC. It's Thursday, March 7th, and we're here in the wonderful CCISD School Board building, in the building, correction. All right, welcome everyone that came. We are going to start with our attendance and quorum. So, Michelle Marker, present. Mark Schauer.
Present.
Casey Pyle.
Present.
Dwayne Hargis.
Here.
I know Leela is not. Dr. Baggerman.
Present.
Dr. Woods.
Here.
Julie Dye. Lisa McKenna. Aaron Pryor.
Here.
Araceli Moreno. All right, so we have met quorum, which is awesome. All right, our first item is a consent item. That is the approval of our November 30th from our last meeting, our minutes. The minutes were sent out when we got an email about lunch and we had our agenda. Did everyone have a chance to read the minutes? Okay. We get to vote. It'll be the only other vote tonight, so don't worry. Or today. I don't even know what time of day it is. I'm so sorry. I'm a teacher about to go on spring break. I don't know.
It's spring break, no apologies.
I know, I'm sorry. Okay, so minutes. Is there anyone who'd like to move anything? Yes. All right. Thank you. We have a motion to approve. We have a second. We have a pen running out. Okay. All right. Any discussion? Nothing needs to be changed. We're good. Okay. So for approval, yay, nay, or abstention. Michelle Marker, yay. Mark Schauer.
Yay.
Casey Pyle.
Yay.
Dwayne Hargis.
Yay.
Leela is absent. Dr. Baggerman.
Yay.
Dr. Woods.
Yay.
Julie Dye. Lisa McKenna. Absent. Aaron Pryor.
Yay.
All right, so we have approval of the minutes. Awesome. So the majority of our agenda for our program update, so it should be a great meeting. We're going to start with the Hope Symposium. Dr. Yescas.
Okay, it's on. Great to see you all again. I'm glad we got to catch up over lunch. So yes, I am here to present on our Hope Symposium that took place in January. So some of y'all were there, so I want to thank you all for supporting us and participating. So HOPE, it stands for Helping Others Through Prevention and Education. We do try to have a Hope Symposium 2 times a year. So the last one that we had was on January 24th, and the focus was on vaping and health and wellness. It was at Carroll High School from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. There really was something for everyone at this event. So we had guest speakers, we had student performances, and we have some pictures I'll show you in just a minute. We had community agency vendors who were able to provide all sorts of resources to our families. Free food was donated from Sonic and Communities in Schools. And then we had free childcare as well from the YMCA and the Texas Association of Future Educators. Those were students from Carroll High School. They were there to support our YMCA employees there. So presentations. We had 2 different strands for presentations. So one strand was targeted for parents and guardians of elementary age students. And these were the topics that we did have for those parents. So we had one on nutrition and diabetes, common childhood illnesses and the importance of sleep and rest, immunizations and well child exams, medication safety and Quaver. So that was with Miss Amy Bull over here. She provided parents with medication instruction that was presented to students using our Quaver curriculum. We also had self-care for parents and guardians, and of course we had a vaping presentation. The other strand was targeted for parents and guardians of our secondary students, our middle school and our high school. So these were the presentations that we had for them. We had nutrition and the link to mental health, nutrition and diabetes, vaping, and then physical activity opportunities in the community. So yes, we did have these two strands, and we had these presentations catered toward parents of middle school, secondary, and primary, but anyone could attend any session that they wanted to. We had some physical activities. This was something new that we wanted to offer to our families and to our kiddos that were at this event. So to promote health and wellness, we also offered those fun physical activities for the whole family. So we had martial arts for beginners. Premier Martial Arts was just so gracious to come and donate their time, and it was a total hit. This is a picture right there. They were teaching the kids. There were some adults in some of these sessions also, and they just had a fabulous time. We also had yoga for beginners from Somos Yoga. They've been a wonderful partnership with us as well, and so hopefully looking forward to working with these two organizations again in the future. We had student performances. So we started off with our Los Encinos dance team. They just kind of, we welcomed everyone, and just to get in the spirit of it, our dancers came out. They did a fabulous job. They were so cute. They were in their outfits. And then in the middle, we had mariachi group from Veterans Memorial High School. They also did a fabulous job, and we have a picture of them right here. And then to top it all off, to lead us out, we had our Morellis dance team. They're right there in the picture with those blue pom-poms. Our dancers, our performers did such a wonderful job. They really did. They bring that something extra to our Hope Symposiums that we do hope to, continue using them and showcasing the talents of our students in the future. So community vendors, we have 34 community agency vendors attend this event. So here are just a couple of them. We had the Children's Advocacy Center, Amistad Health, YWCA, NAMI, Communities in Schools, Coastal Compass, Massage Center, Driscoll Health Plan, Elevate 361, the Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse, and so many more. So you see here in the pictures, it was jam-packed. We had all sorts of community agencies. We had parents, we had staff visiting our booths as well. They were able to get those valuable resources that are available in our community. So total numbers for the event. So we had 93 people in attendance. Now those were only the ones who signed in. We did have a sign-up booth right at the front doors of Carroll High School. However, we did have people coming in from the side as well, and we weren't able to capture those numbers. So we know it was way more than 93. Those are just the ones that we had confirmed. We had 34 community vendors, 11 student volunteers from Carroll High School TAFE Club. We had 11 children who were in childcare, and we had 9 guest speakers. And you can see we had so many people there also supporting us from our district. More to come. So we are having our Hope Mental Health Symposium. This is going to take place on April 27th, 2024. It is going to be at Moody High School. We did want to change locations and offer this to a different part of our community. Of course, everyone in the community is invited to come to this free event. So more information is to come. We're excited. We're working on that right now with the agenda, what the presentations are going to look like. So all of you, just check your emails and expect an invitation soon from us. So any questions?
What is NAMI? That one I didn't know. NAMI.
The National Association of Mental Illness, yes.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know that.
Sorry, I should have put that on there.
Suicide awareness.
I don't know that.
No, thank you. That's a great question.
Awesome. Any other questions? Awesome, thank you so much, but don't go anywhere.
I'm next.
Well, I did want to point out for Hope, it's something that we started last year, and the point is to push out information to our families so that our families are armed with knowledge so that they can support and have conversations with their students in the home. And so that students are hearing a common language, in the environments that they're in, but also as a parent, because I've been there, I have 5 kids. and you can't just assume because, oh, you're in education, you know what to say and do. For some reason, when it's your own kids, your brain kind of turns to mush. So that's why we put these Hope Symposiums together. And this last one that we did, really trying to make sure that we're incorporating the various aspects that you, SHAC, need to make sure that the school district is doing their due diligence, not only in providing the education and awareness to students, but also to their families. And so this year, Dr. Yeskis is heading up our subcommittee on parental engagement for SHAC, and we're really trying to expand and get out there to our families. And this is just one of the ways. And you know, including the physical fitness component, Amy Bull really helped us with our partnerships and educating our families about the importance of movement and what movement can look like. And it's not about running or physical activity. It can be something as fun as Zumba and yoga and other type of movement activities such as that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, thank you. And I know, are you going to pull the next one up?
So as they're doing that, Dr. Yeskis is also going to speak to us about vaping education. Do you know how many people went to the sessions at the Hope?
We didn't capture those numbers, unfortunately, but that's something we can do in the future, capture the numbers of who actually went to our presentation. That's a great idea.
I was just curious, since we're about to talk about vaping, how many went to the vaping? And it is a problem. It's a big problem. So
it is.
It is.
So I don't think it's this one. This is. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. So yes, I am going to talk about vaping education updates. So I want to give you some background information about tobacco information in Texas. So what's going on in the state of Texas? So according to the American Lung Association's 22nd Annual State of Tobacco Control Report, this was released on January 24, 2024, Texas is listed as one of the states with the worst policies to prevent and reduce tobacco use. Texas received 4 F grades and 1 D grade for efforts to prevent and reduce tobacco use. The State of Tobacco Control Report, it evaluates state and federal policies on actions taken to eliminate tobacco use and recommends proven effective tobacco control laws and policies to help save lives. And that's from the American Lung Association. So let's look at the report. In 2024, Texas received the following grades. Funding for state tobacco prevention programs received a grade F. Strength of smoke-free workplace laws, grade F. Level of state tobacco taxes, grade F. Coverage and access to services to quit tobacco, grade D. And then ending the sale of all flavored tobacco products, that was a grade F as well. So tobacco use is the leading cause of death in Texas and across the country and takes the lives of 28,030 Texas residents each year. So what is our response? What is CCISD's response to vaping and tobacco education and prevention? So to help promote tobacco, vaping prevention and education, CCISD has created the following solutions or initiatives. So number 1, bringing in community agencies to deliver education on vaping and tobacco use to our students. We had our January Hope Symposium that had a focus on vaping and health and wellness. Social workers of CCISD, we have purchased the Too Good for Drugs curriculum that you all approved through SHAC, and they are all delivering that curriculum to classes and to small groups. And we also restructured the Differentiated Removal Program, or the DRP, 3-day program. So I will go into more detail on each one of these initiatives. So we have our community agency presentation. So CCISD, we have formed some wonderful community partnerships that help us deliver vaping, tobacco, drug prevention programs, and presentations. So we have a partnership with Coastal Bend Wellness. They provide us with the curriculum of Too Good for Drugs. They do have people come in who have been trained in this curriculum to come and teach our students about it. We have the council, of course, who are behind me, and they're about to do a presentation in just a bit, so I won't go on into a lot of detail. But they've provided vaping, substance abuse prevention, and opioid presentations to our students. We have Women's and Men's Health Services of the Coastal Bend. They also have a curriculum called Botvin's Life Skills that does have a very large drug education component to it, and they have come into our classrooms to teach our children. We had our Hope Symposium, as I mentioned before, had a focus on vaping prevention and education. And a guest speaker from the council, Miss Lilia de la Garza, who is right behind me, she came and presented during every single time slot that we had available for presentations. The Too Good for Drugs curriculum. So our social workers here at CCISD, we purchased this SHAC-approved curriculum. Every social worker is presenting this curriculum in either a classroom setting, a small group setting, or in the DRP program. And I will go into more detail about DRP in just a minute. The Too Good for Drugs curriculum is used for grades 1st through 12 here at CCISD. The curriculum is a prevention education program designed to mitigate the risk factors and enhance protective factors related to alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. The lessons help students to build positive friendships, resist peer pressure and influence, develop skills for making healthy choices, develop self-efficacy, and to communicate effectively. So the restructured DRP program. So the Differentiated Removal Program, or DRP, is a 3-day temporary placement program for behavioral management. The DRP program does take place at SSC every week. The program is a collaboration between community agencies and district employees designed to address decision-making, conflict resolution, substance abuse, and stress management. Students focus on growth mindset, goal setting, values, strengths, thoughts, emotions, decisions, and managing relationships and conflicts. So the students who attend this program, they are middle school or high school students who have been caught on vaping on school grounds. So the coordinator for mental health services, that's me. The coordinator for guidance and counseling, Ms. Courtney Rios. And our specialist for PE and health, that's Ms. Amy Bull over here. We came together and we restructured the DRP program using evidence-based curriculum and strategies. So these are what it looks like now. So students who are in the program, they complete the entire Too Good for Drugs 8th grade curriculum in those 3 days. Students learn mindfulness lessons, activities to aid in their coping skills. So we teach them deep breathing, grounding, progressive muscle relaxation, yoga. Students participate in restorative circles as well to help with building relationships. Students listen to guest speakers who come in from our community agencies to teach them about drug prevention and education. And students also watch safe school videos, which you all approve through SHAC as well, on vaping education and prevention. So the newly restructured DRP program started on February 7th, 2024. The newly restructured DRP program is facilitated by our social workers, by our counselors at SSC, and the Communities and Schools case manager at SSC. All of these individuals were trained by, it was me, Courtney, and also Ms. Bull. We were there to train them in this new program. The DRP program also follows our Capturing Kids' Hearts Excel model. So just a little reminder what that looks like. We engage them at the very beginning. We get to know the children who are in this program. We explore, we look at their different needs. Why are they in this program? What are some of the resources that they need? We communicate with them. We make our message relevant, which is, of course, vaping education and prevention. We empower our students. We give them the tools they need to resist peer pressure. We give them coping skills as well. And then, of course, we launch them with a meaningful ending and ascending. That way, we launch them with that newly acquired education. Parents and guardians are also given a mental health and drug resource guide to support their students and themselves. And students who attend the program, they do take a pre and a post test. This is just on skill acquisition from the curriculum that was taught. So we are going to use these scores. They will be compared for program evaluation measures. So we're really excited to see how this program contributes to students leading vaping, tobacco, and drug-free lives. And that's it. So any questions about our initiatives?
I have just one. I saw up there that you said the student completes it in 3 days. Are they 3 consecutive days?
Yes.
Or are the days spaced out?
Three consecutive days they are at SSC.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Out of those 3 days, I know they have other classes that they have to do, or are they only doing this?
They're only focusing those 3 days on the DRP program.
And Michelle, that's how it's been historically, your 3-day DRP program. That's what it does. I mean, the point of it is to kind of centralize those services into one spot for children who are either repeat offenders or who bring illegal drugs onto campus. You know, we're required to consequence those behaviors. And so historically as a district, we've had this 3-day DRP program. Before, I think it was only like once a month.
Yes, it was.
And so students sometimes had to
Right.
wait more than a month to get
go.
into the program, and the class sizes were quite large. And we, once the team and I had the opportunity to go in, observe, and review some of the data, we felt like we could probably enhance and improve the program by making it more frequent, rewriting it, and then putting targeted staff in there to deliver those lessons using a viable curriculum. And so that's why it's weekly, and the class sizes are smaller, and you know, students are really benefiting from it.
No, I had a student go, so I knew about the 3 days. I just
Yeah.
was clarifying because as a teacher, you know, they leave, they get pulled, they go to SSC, and then, you know, we get
Right.
them back. And
And
it
I
just
just wanna
depends on the circumstances.
That's
like,
right. That's what I want to point out.
really depends
So
on
if they go
circumstances.
to DAEP for something other than the 3-day DRP, they do work on their coursework.
Courses,
Yes.
yeah.
It's just if it's 3-day for any type of drug violation, we are required to intervene, and that's what we've done.
Right. Awesome. Thank you.
So, quick chance, just a question for going forward on it. With, after these changes, what kind of measures, you know, to kind of decide is it successful, non-successful, or things doing better, less repeat offenders, things like that?
Most definitely. So we are working with Mr. Ron Knipes. He can provide us with the recidivism levels. The students that are coming in over and over again, we are going to start tracking that. We are using that pre and that post test as well to see what skill acquisition has taken place. This is a very new program. We just started in February, so we're getting a ton of feedback from our social workers right now. They're the ones who are delivering the curriculum. We're talking to the counselors at SSC and the CIS case manager as well, and they've given us some great ideas already to how to improve the program. So really just getting together, you know, we want, especially after the end of the semester, what worked, what didn't work. Are we making a difference? Are we seeing, you know, test scores actually get better from one to the next? So.
I have a question. So I know you mentioned it, but what is SSC?
It is our Student Support Center.
So it's a campus?
Yes, it is a campus.
They leave their home campus and go to a separate campus
Yes,
for those
ma'am.
3 days. And then you started off talking about tobacco, but, so I'm assuming if they do, I mean, the student could go there for tobacco use, vaping, or any other drug use. It's just kind of a general.
So I'll respond to the tobacco. So we do have, I put some policy in place a couple years ago, working with the American Heart and American Lung Associations to not penalize students by removing them to our disciplinary campus, which is SSC, for tobacco purposes. Really, we flipped it and did more education about the dangers of tobacco. However, this past June, when laws were put into play, now school districts are required to discipline all of the students, and there are some caveats. So we really try not to penalize tobacco users by sending them to the disciplinary alternative setting. we really try to handle that at the home campus. However, at some point it does become a principal discretion if a student continues to violate tobacco rules, say they're on their third infraction, then a campus does have the discretion to send a student for that. But for tobacco, we really try to manage that at the campus level. But there's new law that says if it's vaping or e-cigarette of any kind, they have to go to the SSC.
And I assume, out of those three, out of drugs, vaping, tobacco, is vaping the highest number of infractions from our students? Would you say?
Of those three, probably.
Yeah,
I would say probably, yes. But I can tell you within the vape, there's drugs. So we're not quite sure how they're categorizing it as a drug or a vape. They're not just vaping smoke. It usually has some sort of chemical in it. And so, I would assume that even though it's a vape, if it does have THC, then it must be categorized as a drug. So that's why I can't give you a firm answer, but I can tell you vaping is a problem. It's evident, and that's why we're trying to be really vigilant on responding to those with these 3 days very intensive education program.
Okay, thank you.
That's when I was just gonna kind of mention, vaping is drugs. It's not just tobacco. I bet if you sampled 100 of them and you collected, there's probably 2 that are just tobacco. I'm just throwing out numbers I don't know the stats on, but they put things in it so that they'll buy it again, right? And it's messing up kidneys, it's messing up a lot. It's very addictive, and so, and I would bet the majority of the ones you go collect in a school are gonna have marijuana. Just, but again, without any numbers, I'll just throw that out there. I'd put it in drugs.
And I have a question. If a student is a repeat offender, I know the program is very early. Do they repeat the 3-day course? What happens there?
That is a conversation that we're having. So we do want them, that's the option we have right now, is for them to repeat that 3-day course. I don't know if you know anything else about that, Dr. Ismendi, but looking at those recidivism rates as well, that's really going to tell us more information, because maybe something needs to be created to help those students.
Correct. And if they are repeat offenders, I don't know if they go back to a 3-day DRP or if they go to a 10-day removal at that point, And then so part of that 10-day removal, we already have, based on the infraction that would land a student at the alternative setting, we already have social workers and CIS who work with those students for the reasons brought there, which could include vaping, drugs, and things of that nature. So yes, we are having to look at recidivism to see how we need to tweak the program. But right now, just with bandwidth, it is one program. And so it would be a repeat, because otherwise now we're having to offer concurrent 3-day programs, and then it just becomes a staffing issue.
So when, if they catch a student just with it but not vaping, it's the same treatment? If he opens a backpack and a vaping tool falls out.
They're in possession of.
It's the same thing?
Mhm.
I was told this, but I don't remember, and I didn't dream it, it's real. But somebody told me at the old Carroll campus, the toilets were plugged and he went into the sewage system, and they pulled out not a few, but thousands of the capsules. They were just, after they got done vaping in the bathroom, they flushed them. Did you hear that?
That would be New Carroll, not Old Carroll.
Oh, you're serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Is it a true rumor? Or is it a true?
I know the custodian showed me a picture. They flushed, and then they clogged the system, but we have the vape detectors in the bathroom.
Okay.
Old Carroll, no.
Any other questions, comments?
Sorry to keep speaking about
No,
it.
please.
One comment, and this is not a now, and this is, we just, as you're going through these PDSA cycles, improving on it, I would be interested once numbers and staff, you figure out things, some kind of 1-month follow-up with the kid, where even if they're not drawn back in, because 3 days training is a punishment for being caught, right? And then a follow-up is, we got you as part of a treatment program. We will care about how you're doing, and it also helps you with how much did it work or not too. But I know that's, I'm not saying for now, but I would consider some kind of follow-up, because 3 days doesn't get anyone off of drugs. But,
Right.
but having some kind of regular follow-up, or maybe already doing something at the
Right,
school.
and when that's why we also provide information to the families about where to go to the community to get help. We also are building a program for campuses to run on the campus. So if a student, like I said, with tobacco, I'm going to say we don't send to SSC, but there's always a caveat that could occur. So in most instances, we try to keep our students who are found in possession of tobacco products on the campus. So we're developing a very similar 3-day DRP process for the campus for students, and it is different than SSC. So in theory, if it's your first time offense, you'll go to the campus's program and go through a 3-day intervention, and then if you're caught again, or it's the illegal drug, then you're going to SSC and it's a different program. So, I mean, we have been able to build that out to where they're separate, but beyond that, I mean, that's a student who's addicted, and needs more intervention. That even as schools, I don't know that we're equipped with interventionists for that purpose, and why community resources for families is so critical. And we are partnering, the council comes, and you're going to hear what they're also doing in addition to what we're doing. But like even to have recovery coaches on our campuses is very hard thing to do, to be able to service the need that's there. But Dr. Yeskis is working in that area. So at least targeting our campuses based on data that have the highest need to get the support there at the campus.
So is tobacco handled differently just because the sheer volume of cases? Would it overwhelm SSC?
So I don't know the answer to that. I mean, SSC is probably pretty busy anyway, especially with vaping, the new vaping laws. And even our legislatures knew that it was going to create our SSCs or our DAEPs to be busier because they wrote a caveat in there, So, for example, if your DAEP is too full, here's an alternative way to consequence a student who's caught vaping. And so they even foresaw that it could fill up your DAEPs. So I can't say that tobacco would make it worse or not, because I honestly don't know our tobacco numbers for infractions, any recent numbers. We usually pull them at the end of the year. We get them because another department monitors them more closely than we do. So, I mean, I know if Mr. Knives was here, he'd probably be able to rattle it off. But I can't speak to that, at this time about tobacco.
Okay.
If sending them there would overburden them. And like I said, I know they're busy. I know that they have several students there.
I'm just wrapping my head around why it's treated different when, for their age group, it is an illegal drug, just the same as vaping would be.
Other questions?
No, I just want to say, like, for SSC, for people who might not know, this isn't the only purpose of that facility. You're in a fight, something happens, so there's a lot of different things happening at SSC, and
Yeah.
so just in case anyone didn't know, it's the alternative school for a lot of different things.
It is,
But,
yes. And they do separate our DRP students from students who are there for other reasons.
Yeah, but I do appreciate that you have revamped the course, because I know from the past and talking with kids, it was very different in the past. So I'm glad that y'all do that. It's 3 days, and it is a punishment, and my student did feel I'm
Like
gonna
they
make
were
better
punished.
choices, and I shouldn't have done that,
Okay.
and the whole thing.
That's a win, I see.
Yeah.
Small win, exactly.
And they missed stuff that we did, and they were like, okay, I got to make it up. I got to figure this out. And so there's that aspect as a teacher. It's difficult because they're there. They're not absent, but they're not even in your class. Literally, for any SSC, they get yanked from your
Campus.
roster. They go, they come back, they just kind of start. It's a whole big thing. So, but I appreciate that you revamped it.
Thank you.
right.
Okay, well, I think, next person up, we have Ms. Amy Bull.
Yes, we have Miss Amy Bull to talk to us about high school health class.
All right, so this is our first year of having this health course that is now a requirement for graduation for the freshmen and any other class after. And we are using the Goodhart Wilcox resource that you all recommended last year. So this year so far, 6 high schools have had this course for mostly freshmen. We're going to add branch and collegiate next year. Branch and collegiate didn't start this year. My understanding for that is they were still looking to see how they might be able to have a dual credit course. That was a health course, and I don't think they've been able to manage that. So next year, those students, probably their 10th and 9th graders, will be doing the high school health course as well. So the fall 2023 semester, we had 906 students enrolled, 817 passed and earned credit. And this semester, we already have 1,269 students enrolled taking this course right now. So the Goodhart Wilcox resource is being used, and one of the reasons, this is just a reminder of why we selected that, and what I'm seeing in classes is that there are self-reflective surveys that students interact with. They actually get to analyze their behaviors and are they doing these healthy behaviors or not. They get to do a lot of pair-share class discussions about these health topics. There are some research activities where they're looking at different resources and having to evaluate, is this a good resource from social media, or is there better resources on the internet, or how to tell if it's .gov or .org versus if it's just a .com, how to differentiate between good resources with good information, factual information, and something that's just clickbait. They also do some role-playing of the refusal skills, how to say no, how to get out of situations, how to use your parents as, my parents will get really mad at me if I don't do this, or things like that. We also bring in presentations from our counselors are coming in to do the suicide risk and prevention lesson. They do a drug prevention lesson, and they do a lesson on healthy relationships. The council, and they'll tell you more about this, they do come in to our high schools. Every high school receives a presentation about drug abuse and opioid and fentanyl abuse. Then they also have a life skills program that comes to, I believe it's 2, maybe 3 of our high schools. They will fill us in on that. I can't remember off the top of my head. And that is a 7-week program where they come in 2 days per week, where they're going into more detail about how to make good choices. Coming this semester, the social workers will also be coming in to present on dating relationship violence, another curriculum that you guys approved last semester, I think, at the last meeting. In the classroom, I've been able to go do some walkthroughs and observe, and what I'm seeing is teachers are using the Goodhart Wilcox resources with fidelity. They're using exactly what I have kind of been helping them with presentations and activities to do in class from that resource. I'm seeing 100% engagement in most of the classes. Of course, every now and then there was one kid who was sleeping, you had to go nudge a little bit. But they're discussing, they're enjoying what they're getting to talk about in class. A lot of aha moments like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that if I didn't bathe regularly, you could get these rashes. Little things like that, and also some of the bigger topics about, vaping and harms of drug abuse, alcohol abuse. The students are also feeling comfortable asking questions to their teachers. At the beginning of the year, our professional development that we did before school started, I had the teacher, we did a development on like team building skills, team building activities, how to build relationships, how to get the kids to build some with one another and with the teacher, so that they started the year off doing that. By mid-semester, the kids are really comfortable with the teacher and asking them questions about their health. So that's been really awesome to see. Training for teachers. We did do a training at the beginning of the year on how to create that safe environment for lesson engagement. We had a professor from the University of TAMU-CC come present on that, on how to make the environment safe for particularly a health class setting. We do some collaboration on lesson planning when we have these professional development days. We've gone over how to cover those opt-in parent consent topics. Those topics are covered at the end of each semester, and so right before that unit, we get together and we talk about how are we going to cover this topic? What are your fears about covering this topic with students? How can we navigate that? How can we make sure we're staying on the curriculum and not letting the kids ask other things that are not approved to talk about? So we talk about strategies for how to make sure we're staying online. And we've also gone over how to teach the mandated CPR AED content that is a state graduation requirement. And what are your questions that you have?
I was just wondering on your numbers for the fall, is that, I was thinking there would be more from 6 schools, but there are kids taking certain classes where they're not taking it freshman year, correct?
Correct.
So like if they're in, because they're splitting it with world geography.
Correct.
So if they're doing like AP human geography, they're going to do it in the future.
They will
correct?
do it in the future, yes.
Okay. I have a lot of kids in that boat, so I knew, but in
Yes.
case, because I was thinking, wow, we only have 900 freshmen? That, like half
Well, that
of
was
them?
in semester 1.
Yeah.
Second semester is 1,200, so that's about 2,100 students. So yeah, I mean, we have about 400 students across the district that will be taking the AP Human Geo. And so that,
400? That's what I
yeah,
was
so
trying to
that,
figure out.
that half credit will be earned, because you already have to take 5 elective credits, right? Of the
Right.
22 minimum, 5 of them are elective. That kids could take anything, and, you know, it aligns, well, I say anything, but it really aligns to what their career plans are, right? And so we took 0.5 of those 5 and said it's going to be health.
Right.
So it should naturally fit in there comfortably, and they just have to take it before graduating high school.
Yeah, they've asked me because they were working on their schedules,
Yeah.
and they were like, okay, I got this half thing, what am I going to do? And we were looking, and so, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But,
And it really pairs nice also with our dual credit. So, you know, you can start taking dual credit one semester, you can pair that with it, you know, for the second semester. So,
if they're
yeah,
in
there's,
AP Human Geo, they're probably on that
yeah,
track to do
that's what,
that, so.
that is that assumption, right? If kids stay on that track, then they would be headed to dual credit routes, and it nestles in there nicely.
I've gotten very good feedback from my students that are taking health and that, you know, the World Geo, and they tell each other like, oh, I have it this semester, I had it last semester, and so they're doing good. Since I'm biology, they have to mention things from health, so
Yes.
it's going well. Thank you.
Excellent. Anything else?
Well, I'm just going to point out that our school board is very excited about the health class. We'll be providing them an update at the end of the year, you know, 1 year kind of in review of the launch of our health class and the feedback that we've received, and also if any adjustments need to be made along the way. But I would agree with Coach Bull. That's what we're hearing is just positive responses from students and teachers. I don't hear, like, families don't call me directly, but campuses report that if they are with a parent, you know, hey, do you have a freshman? Oh, has your freshman taken the health class? What have they said about it? You know, so that's what we're looking for, is to be able to just have some narratives or maybe even some stories from our students and families about their experience. And so we'll be providing that update later this semester to our school board.
Awesome. I do have one other question, because I know it's not 100, but the failure rate? I'm very curious if
There
it's like an
were-
attendance thing, because that, I'm assuming a lot of them is an
I
attendance.
think about, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, about half of that was they didn't get credit because of attendance.
Of attendance, right. So
Yeah,
they
that's what I
passed
was
the
figuring.
course. Yeah, they passed the course. I mean, I think it was, when I did the math, whenever it was at the end of the semester, about 91% of the students at face value passed. But then we also had a good representation who also passed, but we couldn't issue credit because they needed to make up some hours.
That's what I was assuming, but I was like,
Right, it looks like a lot.
yeah, but knowing that attendance, but then they can make up attendance, so they can still get that credit
Right.
if we get their attendance taken care of.
Correct.
Okay,
And we have ways for any student that needs to recoup credit, we have options of recouping that credit.
right. Awesome. Anyone else questions? Dr. Woods?
Got it. I just have a statement. We talk about some of these things in some of my Delmar classes, and I told my students that we're having health classes now that were mandatory, and they were in awe. What? We want these health classes too. So I told them some of the topics that they were talking about. So what I want to say is that I think this is a really good, positive thing moving forward. Of course, we can always tweak and look at things and what is most beneficial for the students and for our community. But some of the students that have gone through it that I've seen have really enjoyed it and are expressing their happiness in taking that class.
That's great to hear. I think I want to add this. The principals did a great job of finding teachers to teach this, because every single teacher that I've talked to is loving teaching this content to students. So they're invested in it, and that really excites me too. Okay.
Thank you very much. All right, Armando Trevino from the Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse, Vaping, and Opioid Campus Presentations. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I pretty much did an old school style. I do not have a PowerPoint. I kind of decided to go old school. I even brought you goodie bags as old school PR work. Thank you for our partnership for over 18 years, actually. We've been providing services in partnership with CCISD, received different approvals for different curriculums throughout the years. Interesting that you're discussing DRP, because we started the initial DRP with Knipes, and I think it was Douglas, what was his last name? He was a principal who started at Student Support Center. And we were the initial partner that would teach the 3-day program. We would use our TND curriculum. So it's changed over the years, and then probably about when COVID came around, we couldn't do it anymore, only because the way, I'm glad you guys mentioned that you're revamping it, because we would set it up, and then sometimes they would not schedule it, so we would move all our schedules around to teach it. So the school district was not having to fund any teachers, any counselors, any social workers, or anyone in order to do that program. We literally, our employee would teach the 3-day program using Project Towards No Drug Abuse at that time. So it's been a while now, so we're very happy to hear that it's been revamped. And we're also part of that. We have a component through our recovery services that comes out there and does a component with that through that DRP program. So I just wanted to kind of add that in before I moved on. So you should have something in front of you like this. And I don't want to go through all the information, but I did include life skills training. And then I include Project Towards No Drug Abuse on the left side. Those are the curriculums that we have been approved through CCISD, and we get approval every 2 or 3 years. Some of the SHAC members probably are not aware of the information, but we've been approved, but I wanted to provide it to kind of give you a refresher as to what we do. With the curriculum, sort of like life skills is for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. 3rd is level 1, 4th grade is level 2, 5th grade is level 3, in case if you see those, the first 3. And then the TND curriculum is mostly for high school, 9th through 12th. This year, we're not teaching middle school curriculum because it's a 15-week curriculum, and that takes a very long time to teach. So, preference to the school district, we decided to stick with the elementary and the high school levels. Now, back to the first sheet. If you look at here, it says curriculum services. Our elementary life skills curriculum is life skills training for 8 weeks, 3rd through 5th grade, and we taught those this year between September and December. So for example, on Mondays, we went to Smith Elementary and we went to T.G. Allen. So we go there just so that you can have an idea. We went to those schools for 8 weeks every Monday during PE for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. The numbers on the right is how many students we provided services for at that campus, okay? And then Tuesdays, the 2 schools, and then the number of students for 8 weeks, the same curriculum. And we use level 1 for 3rd grade, level 2 for 3rd grade, 4th grade, and level 3 for 5th grade. So we usually, if an educator goes, let's say I'm the one who's going to teach at T.G. Allen. On the first hour I'm teaching 3rd grade, I'm using the first level book. And then I'm the same person teaching 4th, same person teaching 5th, but we literally switch curriculums to meet the development stages of the students, okay? So if you look at there, this is what we did the first semester, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. No, not Fridays. We don't teach Fridays. We only do Monday through Thursdays. I'm not going to go over all of them, but you can read that on your own. You see what the services we're providing there the first semester. Okay, and the total amount of students for elementary, we taught 1,197 students received the 8-week curriculum, life skills. Okay, and then we also teach Project Towards No Drug Abuse, which is another curriculum that has been approved through CCISD SHAC. That's 12 lessons. We actually go twice a week. And in the first semester, we taught Miller High School, and we went Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, and is through health. These classes are through PE or health, okay? So we were very excited to hear that there was gonna be health this year because it makes it easier for us to teach curriculums during class settings instead of PE where they're in the gym and you're trying to sit them down in the gym or location and try to teach the subject matter for 45, 50 minutes. It's a little bit more difficult than if they have chairs or somewhere to sit, okay? So these are the curriculums we taught the first semester, and at Miller we did have about 130 students. This is the first time we teach high school curriculums at campuses because we did have health. And the first time that the school district, not only school districts, but the schools were very interested in receiving these services since they had health and the subject matters. If you look at the last page, that's Project Towards No Drugs. That's the high school curriculum, the lessons that we teach. Okay, moving on. That's curriculum. Now, 2 years ago, I think Dr. Woods, you challenged about the vaping. You asked us about vaping presentations and so forth. So we presented at the SHAC. I think maybe it's been about 2 or 3 years that we had started slow to get approval. And we presented and we came up with presentations to address vaping. So last year was the first year that we actually taught the vaping presentations completely through we did actually middle school and high school last year. This year, we mostly taught it for middle schools. And only the reason for middle school is because we wanted to focus on the opioid. You gotta realize for all our programs, we only have, all this is reached by 4 employees, okay? So we're having to move things around with coaches and so forth and make sure that we can accommodate. So all these numbers are not duplicated. Vaping presentation, opioid, and curriculum are not duplicated numbers. These are all numbers that are separate from what we're teaching, okay? So if you look at vaping presentations, those are the middle schools and how many students we taught the vaping presentation, all the way down. And we had a total of 3,362 students combined in all these schools. And that is based on the coaches giving us the sign-in sheets and rosters from the classrooms and the many classes they have. Middle schools have 6 to 8 classes at every campus about, and they're running about 25 to 30 students per class. So, and our biggest school was Caffey Middle School, actually. And if some schools weren't able to meet that, it's because there was something else that was going on, and I take the responsibility because we couldn't accommodate the schedule changes because we're doing curriculum, and I'm trying to get vaping and opioids in there at the same time for these presentations. Now, the vaping presentation is a one-time presentation. These are not over and over and over. It's just one time that we go discuss the PowerPoint that we presented here and got approved for. Okay, and then the opioid prevention presentation is fairly new. Last March, I was here and presented. I was letting Ms. Bull and Ms. Iscas, Dr. Iscas, that we were here March 1st last year presenting on the opioid to get approval. I said, man, it's already been a year. So the first semester that we taught was this semester in the fall. And these are the schools that we provided services for on the opioid prevention presentation that we got approved for last year. You have Ray, King, Veterans, Miller, Carroll, and Moody. And we served 718 students. Again, we do not have collegiate nor branch because they don't have health, and we're mostly doing it through health classes, not through PE. Okay? Now, on that same note, on your right side, you have the nicotine presentation. This is kind of giving you what we discussed. You guys were discussing vaping. I kind of give the example of vaping the vaping is a tool, sort of like if you're using marijuana, you can roll it, which is a joint, that's a tool, or you can eat it in brownies, or you can use it as a pipe. Those are the tools. So vaping is just a tool that they use in order to get the smoke into their system. So it's just like an individual who's an IV drug user will use the needle in order to shoot up. Right now, the vaping tool is being used as a tool to whatever substance they can get in their body. So when we discuss this, it can be vaping nicotine, can be vaping marijuana, it can be vaping methamphetamines. It can actually be even vaping. Understanding that there's some levels of heroin being used in that manner because you can smoke those as well. So just kind of give a better clarification a little bit on that so that when people think, oh, they got caught for vaping, well, it's kind of difficult to say if it was marijuana, if it was whatever form of drug they're deciding that individuals can use in order to smoke something. But for our purposes, when we got approval, it was based on nicotine. So we are teaching tobacco prevention based on the nicotine vaping. We do get a little bit into some discussion about that marijuana, also the issues of prevention of marijuana and so forth, but when we got approved for this presentation was prior to a lot of this vaping that started this past year. So we're trying to revamp on some of those questions. Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay, sorry. And that's the nicotine. And then the next page is the opioid abuse prevention presentation. And these sort of just kind of give you the sources, the skills taught on both. And the opioid is the high school one that we presented last year and got approved for. Okay? Any questions? Yes, sir.
So when you were talking, I was looking up the One Pill Kills campaign for Governor Abbott. Do we promote that?
Yes. We did do
Are there posters in the hallways and et cetera?
So I know that are they in the hallways? I'm gonna say yes. I don't know that they're in every hallway, but yes, we do have signage. We actually have the curriculum. We use that. We're required to use the Texas School Safety Center curriculum through Texas State. And so that's what's important about, like, health is a semester long, but I can tell you vaping and everything else, attendance, it's a daily reminder. So, y'all have approved lots of resources that we can keep it fresh and new. And yes, you might have received, the course in the fall, that now in the spring you did something wrong, and we have different resources we can visit with you about. So, that's everything. That's the work of what they've done, and our One Pill Kills is part of that.
So you reinforce that during class?
We discussed in the opioid presentation, we discussed the campaign. The One Pill Kills also comes from the DEA and Take Back, and we do a lot of that. So it does get discussed in the issues of drug use and so forth. One thing that we also very much have been a partner with the school district with the symposiums. We provided some of the parent presentations and set up tables as part of that as well. So we have, just so that I think Ms. Bull wanted us to give information as to how many services we have provided as a community partner for the first semester. And second semester, I'm honored to say that we're fully booked, and I'll probably be here again in the summer if you need me to present on what we did in the spring, because we are completely booked with 4 or 5 more elementaries, 2 more high schools here, and opioid presentations for the second semester for all the health classes that, remember, it's only half semester, so the second semester we'll go through. We already did complete all the vaping presentations with the middle schools.
And that's one thing, it's been, I think, central to this SHAC is that every student in CCISD be afforded this education and not just look at where maybe our highest numbers are and targeting those campuses. We're educating everybody. So we're keeping our community partners busy through this because we need them as an extension of us, through our teachings. And so, as you go through, you're gonna say, well, that's not all of our campuses. You're right, because we're using the second semester. Every campus is our target and students to receive the information.
Now, for our purposes with the curriculums, we are required to reach schools that have a higher level of health disparities.
Yep.
So as a part of our funding, we have to focus on the schools that have a higher level of issues of poverty, issues of discrepancies, or just health disparities is the term that they tend to use. So just to that's the reasons why you might see some of these other schools that might not.
Right, I mean, we do have priority focus. I would say that's probably anywhere across the district. I mean, we do have priority focus, but the equity of education is a right of every student.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
I
so
think
much.
you have more. I think you have more questions.
Oh, there's more questions?
I do have a question. It
Oh,
may
okay.
not be you that can
I'm sorry,
answer.
say that again?
I do have a question, and
Yes.
it may not be you that can answer this, but going to like the equity across education, I did notice that the boys at Atkins Middle School, and you said that you were done with middle school education, were not given the vaping education. Is that something that you guys are going to think about maybe trying to do? Because I know you said you were done with middle school.
So we still give the education.
Okay.
So that's one thing, our curriculum across the board is for every student. So
Okay.
for like presentations, I don't know where you were looking. Oh, yeah, so for the PE girls.
And pardon I'll correct myself. You're correct. In fact, I did speak with Atkins, and I think it's Coach, hold on. What's your coach out there? Lopez. But was she there, was she the first semester too? Menenzor, who school is Men?
Yeah, that's a different one.
Haas. Well, I am to be corrected. We are gonna have to go back and do the boys, because at that time, there were so many issues on the schedules that we were, and in my schedule and stuff, in my mind, going back, I'm glad you brought that up, because we will need to go back and do the boys the second semester, because that was a discussion we had with the coaches there with the emails. So, but that's not difficult to add to the schedule sometime in April. In April, we should be more
Sure.
clear. And
That's really
when
good to hear. And I know that schedules are complicated. I know that public education is a very 1,000 miles an hour all the time.
Right.
So I know you can't get everything all at once, one time,
Right.
we like, but it's good to hear that you're going to be going back.
Yeah, it just crossed my mind on that part, but we'll definitely cover that. I'll make a notation of that and make sure we do that.
This is mine.
Any more questions? No. Okay,
Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. Thank you. Okay, so we have been discussing subcommittees, and at our last meeting, we did kind of break up into subcommittees, and we knew where we were going to go. And so we have some subcommittee updates. We have 4 subcommittees, and the first one we're going to get an update is Courtney Rios.
Yeah.
You're doing
Erin's
it for her,
Yes.
okay.
I unfortunately, Courtney was voluntold to be somewhere. And so luckily she has teammates on the subcommittee who are willing to step up and present today.
Awesome. So this subcommittee is the social, emotional learning, or mental health, and character education.
Hi, guys. So I'm Erin Prier. I'm going to do Courtney's update. But we met as a subcommittee virtually a few weeks ago. And we really just talked about why the members that were present wanted to be a part of that particular subcommittee. So we kind of shared our why. We talked about wanting to create ways to promote positive ways to look at mental health and well-being, as well as ways to get more community partnership and involvement. We also discussed the guidance curriculum that SHAC has approved, so that includes Quaver Ready at elementary and the Sandy Hook curriculum at secondary. I know Ms. Rios shared that so far, based on our pre and post tests for the fall of 23, all areas that have been taught that included empathy, teamwork, and self-direction had shown growth on those pre and post test measures. The growth was especially evident, or the most growth occurred on the elementary campuses that were using Quaver Ready. We also discussed the possibility of including some additional resources at secondary, particularly focusing on restorative justice and restorative discipline practices. So just looking at those kids, especially those kids who are repeat offenders, as we've called them, the students who are continuously getting into trouble, and wanting to look at alternative discipline practices for those kids and looking at ways to kind of help integrate them back into the school setting when they return from a period of removal. So we did talk about that. Some other things we discussed. I'm actually doing a training tomorrow with our school psychologist. So we have 15 school psychologists with the school district. I am one of them. And our school psychologists do counseling individually or groups, most of it's individually, with our students that are in special education. And their IEP for special education says they need a specialized counseling services to help them access their IEP. So for those kids, we want to grant access to our school psychologist to these resources that have already been approved. So Quaver is going to do a training for us tomorrow. I am also going to be training our school psychologists in using the Journey of Hope curriculum and the mindfulness lessons. So I'm just excited that we're going to be opening that door to our special education students as well, because those are our tier 3 kids who have a lot of needs. So I'm glad that we're going to be able to train other professionals to utilize those resources. What else? Let's see. We also talked about, we had Mr. Holscher in attendance, and he talked about wanting to review possibilities of increasing community partnerships. So that's something else that we're looking into. I know Mr. Holscher is going to email a list of their services to Ms. Rios, and she was going to meet with him about what types of services they might be able to kind of converge on. We also talked about combining the mentoring program with mental health training. So I know Mr. Schauer recently is going to be a mentor with our mentoring program. So we talked about adding some additional mental health trainings for our professionals who are going through that training to be mentors for our students. And that was our meeting. It was a great meeting.
Yeah, we also mentioned, I took notes too on my side, but the calming rooms. Do you remember the calming rooms? I thought that was really impressive.
Remind me.
Yeah, Bill Holscher talked about it, but it's calming rooms where kids can just go to, if they're having a meltdown or whatever, to have a place to mellow out.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like it's a good idea. Anyway.
Yeah, I think there's a couple high schools that have those calming rooms available.
We have one.
I wish we had one at the police department.
We could all use them.
I'd stay there. I wouldn't leave the building.
And I can tell you, in terms of, we don't have many calming rooms in the district. What we do try to provide, through a grant that, I will tell you, Maria is a grant writing machine. She's not always told yes, but when she's told yes, it's a nice sizable grant. And so she was awarded, I think it was through Valero maybe, a $100,000 grant. And what she, using data, because if you know her, she only uses data. So when I call her to ask her a question, she has to pull the data for me because she wants to make sure that she's giving valid answers and not just gut feelings. But using the data, she identified that really and truly are elementaries. I mean, we focus on secondary kiddos, right? Secondary, but elementary students, we're really starting to see some spikes and trends on regulating their behavior and feelings. And so she used this grant money to fund, I think, 2 fifth-grade classrooms on every elementary campus who received materials, like sensory materials, like fidgets and like little stress balls, like things really that you can kind of work with your hands to, calm down and refocus and recenter. And she provided training to those teachers about how to identify a student who is in dysregulation before it became a problem, and then how to use the resources. And you want to share a little bit about what y'all built in those classrooms? Yeah, see, it looks easy. I make it look easy on camera, don't I, during board meeting, but it's not so easy.
There we go. Yes, so they have been very well received. If you do research on calming corners, what that looks like, if it's used with efficacy, they are remarkable. So we have been able to provide so it's 2 fifth-grade classrooms per elementary school. We've been able to provide them with a variety of sensory objects, fidgets, those poppets, weighted blankets. We've given them some comfy places for them to sit as well, some positive signage as well. And I was able to go and train every single one of those elementary school teachers. What is a calming room? How to use it effectively as well. What if a child is over abusing the calming room? It's not a punitive place either. It's a place where a child can go and learn to regulate themselves. Also, it's open to all children. We don't want to make a child feel bad or different to use that calming room, so it's used as a reward also for those students. I've set up a Canvas page for these teachers as well, so they're able to get support from there. Every 6 weeks, I provide them with a video as well. Some of it's from our T-Chat. I've done some on anger management for our students, but just really something supportive for these teachers to use in their classroom, and the kids are able to go there and just regulate themselves. They're learning tools.
It's not a room.
It's not a room. It's a corner that they have.
An area.
A corner, yes, an area that they have in their classroom. And so we're really excited about what this looks like and possibly expanding it if we could.
So my little girl goes to, both of my little ones go to Windsor. But when I ask her on safari days, is when they roam, what her favorite class is, it's always counseling. I think it speaks volumes, I think that's where she learns how to boss me around. So I don't like that part of it. But,
it's called advocating. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, Amy Poole for Physical Health and Nutrition Subcommittee.
All right, so our committee got to meet virtually. The attendees were Dr. Woods, Mr. Hargis, myself, and Kaylee Van Ness, who is part of the nutrition services here in CCISD. And so we started talking about what do we want to do with our subcommittee. And at our subcommittee meetings, we decided we will be talking about where we are. I'll be providing some feedback to them with data on Fitnessgram, data on what kind of things are going on with nutrition programs. Kaylee will be providing that for us. What we're doing in PE programs and our health classes. And then we will use this as a place to discuss what could how can we be making some improvements and share ideas on what we can do to expand those programs. So I think we've decided our next meeting, we would like to meet at least once before every SHAC meeting. So I'll be sending out a message soon that we'll probably meet sometime in April. I will have the reports, Fitnessgram data for this school year so far. And we will, some of the things we decided we wanted to talk about was to develop a bad weather policy for PE and recess. Look at pre-K curriculum. That's kind of new this school year. We have a draft of a pre-K physical education curriculum that we would like to work on and expand. And how we can incorporate community-based activities and lifetime activities in PE classes. And one of the things I'd like to say that we have started doing with that, community-based activities, lifetime activities, I just did this today. All of our 7th graders in the district, their district field trip is to go experience playing disc golf at one of our wonderful parks in the community. And so I spent all morning with Hamlin today. The kids love it. 3 of the middle schools have been able to do this so far. And even the ones they're kind of dragging their feet when they get out there, like, I've got to walk all the way over there. And then when they come back, they're laughing and bragging about who won each hole. And I think it's been really great. I mean, my heart is just so happy watching these kids enjoy physical activity in their community. I even had a kid today ask me, was like, do we have to pay something to come here? And I'm like, no, you come here for free. Bring whatever Frisbee you have. And so that's really exciting. I don't want to take too much time. I could go on forever about that. We talked about the health and nutrition curriculum and discussed how we cover nutrition topics in our health classes in all K through 12. We did discuss that we would want to start looking at making a recommendation for a mandated allotment of time for health content in elementary to make sure that we are covering that health content. And currently our curriculum for elementary has them cover a health topic once a week. And we want to discuss, is that enough? Should we add more than that once a week? I know some PE teachers kind of add more to that and do maybe a little bit each day, but we want to discuss what that might be able to look like in the future moving forward. Another thing that we will be discussing is we have had several community members reach out about using the Heritage Keepers 2 program in our high schools. High school health class. So currently, Heritage Keepers provides instruction for our middle schools on those big 5 opt-in parent consent topics: human sexuality, dating violence, family violence, human trafficking, and child abuse. And so Heritage Keepers has a second program that is an extension of a great follow-up to the middle school program that we could potentially use for the high school. So in this subcommittee, we will be looking at that curriculum more closely to see if we need to bring that to 2 presentations during our SHAC to see if we want to use that in our high school courses. We did discuss the triennial assessment of the district wellness policy, and we will be looking closer at that at our subcommittee meeting. There was a suggestion by one of the community members that maybe this should be a whole SHAC responsibility to look at our wellness policy and complete the triennial assessment. We'll discuss that further in our next subcommittee meeting. I think that about sums up everything that we discussed at our subcommittee meeting. Questions or comments? Next.
Good job. All right, our next subcommittee is parent engagement. Dr. Yeskis.
Here's my pen. Okay, sorry. I was like, where's my pen? I knew I had it. Okay, so we did meet, and it was just Michelle Marker and me. We were the only ones in attendance. That's okay. I know. Teaching schedules. We'll make it work next time, basically. But on the committee, it's Michelle Markert, it's Casey Pyle, Araceli Moreno as well. So we did meet online because, once again, teacher schedule. So we met in the morning. We met on February 29th via Teams at 8 o'clock in the morning. So thank you once again for being there. So we talked about current things that we're doing right now with our parents, but we also looked to the future as well. So one of the topics that we did talk about are, what are we doing right now with our families? How are we engaging them? And Michelle is just a wealth of knowledge. She's there. She's on campus. She's visiting with those parents, with those kiddos. So one of the things we did talk about was open house. Has not been very successful. I think most campuses can say that. You know, either parents, for some reason, they can't come. Either they won't come, or maybe they're working. They don't have transportation. Maybe no one can babysit their child as well. So what can we do? Because that's a really important night. You know, it's the children coming in, the parents visiting with us, getting to meet you, who you are, you getting to meet those parents, forming those connections with them as well. And so Michelle had a fabulous idea. She said, what if we made these hybrid hybrid or online so that parents could, from the comfort of their own home, they could visit with teachers, or maybe even from work, they could visit with their teachers as well. Perhaps offering maybe not just one of those opportunities, but maybe several nights we could do that, offer a hybrid option for those parents, an online option for them. So that was one of the things that we talked about. We also talked about having a parent-guardian informational night as well, so separate from what open house would look like. This would be a night where parents and guardians can come in to learn all of the applications that are needed for their child to be successful, but also for them to support their child in their academic career. So coming in, showing them how to use Canvas. What is Canvas in the first place? What about email? Checking emails regularly. What is a virtual backpack? Getting together and just exploring the website. Let's get on Carol's website. This is where you can find the calendar. This is where you can find our special events. This is where you can find the directory of the teachers and the staff that are there if you do need to get a hold of us, some special phone numbers as well. So some of the ideas that we talked about, how can we do this? Possibly at a PTO meeting, or even getting our parent involvement team involved with this. Scheduling a night where parents and guardians can come in. Perhaps that's even an online option, teaching them. But just really empowering our parents so they have the tools to help their child and also to help themselves. We looked at the future. If y'all know me, I'm always coming up with a new idea. Dr. Ismendi always knows that. So something that possibly that, and I've worked at a family resource center before, but is something akin to a family resource center, which would be a family academy. And so what is that? What would that look like? This would be a one-stop shop where parents can come in and provide all sorts of resources to them. For example, connections to GED completion, connections to college entry, job training, parenting classes, workshops, connections to community partners if they do need those resources out there. Bringing in CCISD guest speakers to come and talk to our parents. So having someone from special education come in, provide information. Dyslexia, social work service, MTSS, 504. That way you're there. You can ask these experts on the campus any questions that you have. Resource fair, literacy classes, English classes, I don't know, sky's the limit here. That's what I'm thinking about. So the next steps for that what would that model look like? I know we would need to involve the social work team, most definitely, to help that. But one step further that I want to do is I want to visit with other schools, other ISDs. What are they doing? I used to work at Fort Worth ISD in their family resource centers, and so I have some basic idea. But there are ISDs who are doing this. How are they doing this? Just to be able to prepare and to invest in our parents and guardians. So those were a couple things that we talked about. It was a short, sweet meeting. We're hoping to meet again soon to talk about, of course, Mr. Pyle's information. You are an expert also in education, Ms. Araceli Moreno, but some ideas that we had.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? Dr. Woods.
I don't necessarily have a question, but being in the higher education realm, and when you were talking about special education, what that means, a lot of our students sometimes, because they become adults, don't know how to take care or find or access that kind of help when it comes to ADA, because it's a different law. I think it might be good on our end to try to have a conversation with those parents and those students on you're transitioning and you're thinking about going to college. Here's what special education can help with and how you can take control of what's going on.
Exactly. Helping these kids with whatever future aspirations that they have. If they want to go to college, if they want to go into career field, that's a fabulous idea. Empowering them.
I wonder too if some of the things you talked about, if it couldn't be added to the app for CCSD, like to access it through the CCSD app on your phone.
I'm sorry, what?
The parental engagement that you mentioned, if it couldn't be accessed through the app.
Oh, definitely. Maybe even on the website, creating a whole page just for this, what this looks like, the parent engagement, having a calendar on there of events that are there, having supportive services, links to other websites and other community agencies that can support our parents. Most definitely. That's a wonderful idea.
I think the biggest thing from when we talked was, I think all of that is great. I was back to, do they understand we have an app? How do you use the app? How do you see your kids' grades? Because as a teacher, we're like, it's all online. How do they not know that their kid's been absent 57 times or whatever it is? I send screenshots, I send, but it's there. And then I just had a parent 2 days ago say, I have no idea how to look up anything. I wish there was someone to teach me. And she's looking at me. And I said, I'd happily show you. The librarian can help you as well. But we had just had that conversation, and then here's this parent. And that just to me was a sign of, let's get back to basics. They want to help their kid. They have usually a smartphone in their hand, most people. Let's help them. Let's help them by showing them, because we know we're the experts, and kind of like we call it Teacher Access Center, but kids, it's Home Access Center. And I had to learn the hard way that what they see and how I see it is different.
Yeah.
So like I've learned all that, and I've helped kids with that, and I've helped parents with that, but it just needs to be more global, that they all, and we do offer. I'm not to say we don't, our librarian will help anybody come in and help them get all that, but you have to, as a parent, you have to put yourself out there too. You have to be the one that goes, I need to know how to do this. But if we had a page that said, go here and sign up, or we have this night, come in, beginning of the school year especially, that would just be amazing. Keeping track of their attendance, keeping track of grades, keeping track of daily assignments. They'll say, what are they missing? Well, I don't know. Have you checked Canvas? Have you checked Home Access? Like, it's there,
And we've made it to where, for the most part, if you log in and stay logged in, you just click it and it pulls up your real-time information, like in your virtual backpack, and it pulls it up for all your children. You can, one place, just choose your child, and it brings up information for them. But also, it just lets us know that our one and dones don't exist, right? It's, you've done one, and so you've done one. Now you need to do another one, and it just needs to be on that continual basis of, whether it's once a month or once a 6 weeks, of pushing out information or, including it somewhere in a newsletter, just as a reminder. And I know we do. I receive, as a district, we have lots of newsletters, not only from campuses, but from the district. And so our district newsletter that goes to parents also on the side margin has little tips and reminders for our parents about where to go to find your child's grades, information, attendance, or how to reach somebody at the district, and we can help you get in contact with somebody at the campus. And so it's just making sure that we don't think we've communicated enough, because then you find somebody who wasn't aware of it. And when I have the opportunity to be able to assist a parent, I ask them, I challenge them with, now go find a parent who didn't know what you now know and tell them, right? So that we keep it going and just pass it on.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. I should have told that parent.
It's never too late, Ms. Market.
I'll email her.
There you go.
But yes, that's my big thing, is we want parents to be involved, but I don't think they know the basic of helping their child, not worrying about as many of the other things. They don't, or I don't know, like, yeah, you stay logged in. I'm like, we've had this, your kid's been in school, but that was our big thing.
And you also have that option, we would hope that if, as a parent, because I am one, I don't know that I'm the best at that Home Access Center, but my student is. And so working with my student to pull up her Canvas by course, and I see, it's right there. It's really at the fingertips of students as well. Like, students know, but it's making sure that we have that conversation with our student about school. It's not just, how was your day? It's knowing you can ask them about their day by, hey, pull up your Canvas. Let's go to your courses and see, how are your grades looking? What's your attendance? Everything. Report cards are there. Everything is there at the fingertips. So it's also empowering parents with that knowledge that their students has it in their hand too.
For many of these resources, there's already parent/student how-to
Yes.
one-pagers that
Yes.
someone
And
in the district
videos.
has made.
We,
Yeah, and
yes, and we've
videos.
created videos.
So-
I have a few of them out there too.
I love the idea of like having the orientation earlier in the year in the shorter term. Just make a sheet of QR codes, put them at the front office when parents can check out their kids. Hey, how do I check attendance? I would love to know that.
I will add that
Ease
here.
that.
I just know that you can, any which way we can do it, do them all, because we're always gonna miss somebody, because that's just the way of the world, but we just need to do even more, because I agree, it's on websites, it's on Canvas, it's, you can go here, you can go there, but there's still a gap. And some of it is just, some people are not techie, as they are told. Like, they don't even know how to do the things on their phone that, that a lot of us do. So, and kids do have it at the palm of their hand. They also know how to hide things because they know and their parents don't. And so it's kind of old school. How's your day? Did you get all your work turned in? Okay, that sounds great, but they don't realize they could check. They actually could see. And kids like, yeah, I got it all done. We're good, So it's one of those things, but that was my big, especially because I teach freshmen, and the transition between middle and high school is
huge.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's real, and they don't, so anyway, enough about us, right? Okay. Thank you. So one more question.
Quick question. It's probably been done, but what have we done to ask the parents how they will best be engaged? Is there any polls or surveys or
Definitely. That would be
reaching
a
out to see
part
what's the best?
of this whole, if we do something like Family Academy Resource Centers, having focus groups, we have to get the parents involved. We hear it over and over again. We don't tell them what they need. You tell us what you need. So most definitely that would be a part of this process. I mean, if not the biggest part of the process, because we want to serve our parents. How do we serve them with what they need? Question. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. All right, student employee health. Veronica Sisk.
We must all be looking stressed because we get stress balls.
No, this accompanies
Yes.
my little subcommittee report. So the student and employee health meeting, we held a virtual meeting on February 20th at 3 o'clock. And in attendance, it was myself, Ms. Deborah Barrera, who was the coordinator for employee benefits. Julie Dye was present, and Leela was absent, but we gave her, that's an okay, because she was touring colleges, so we thought that was a good thing. We really just kind of reviewed the ground rules for subcommittees and talked about some upcoming health events related to both students and employees. So many times we think that our programs are so separate, but in a lot of ways we're starting to interface. And so there's some really great events coming up that we wanted to share with you. One of those is April is Stress Awareness Month. So all district employees will receive a stress ball as a reminder to monitor their stress levels. In case you did not know this, all CCISD employees receive 5 sessions of family counseling services, regardless of insurance or whether or not they're full-time. So even our part-time staff has access to this benefit, and it's not covered by insurance, so they do not have to be on our district insurance to receive that. So I think that's something really good to remember to share with staff, with coworkers. Also, April 6th, we're going to have a district health fair at the Carroll High School Arena from 9 to noon. That is on a Saturday. It is open to all CCISD employees, their families. Community vendors and community partners are going to be present, offering dental information, vision screening, blood pressure checks, cholesterol checks, nutrition and exercise advice, and pharmacy assistance. So that will take place, and that is not limited to just CCISD's employee employees and their families, but it's open to the community as well. So I know our department will have a table there just to let people know what we do as student health services, providing immunization requirements for the upcoming school year to parents, medication forms that they can take proactively and have filled out over the summertime for next year's child's medication at school. So we're looking to be proactive in that and really sharing resources with each other between employees and the community. In May, CCISD is going to partner with Amistad Community Health Center, and we're going to have, speaking of proactive, 2 campus immunization clinics, one at Driscoll Middle School, one at Zavala Elementary. And so those dates, we're still working out the dates, but the immunization clinics are for students that are either behind on immunizations from last year, and then specifically at the middle school area, we're looking at those students going into 7th grade. They're required to have a Tdap and meningitis vaccine. So by coming to the kids during the school day, we're working with the principal, and those students will be able to have a parent consent with them and come and receive those vaccinations. So if that way they don't have to worry about getting them over the summer. They're great to come in and start 7th grade. They're all compliant. So we're very appreciative to Amistad Community Health for always partnering with us on those needs. Zavala Elementary is one of our underserved schools where transportation can sometimes be an issue. This past year has really been tough trying to get our kids caught up on their immunizations. So we wanted to offer that benefit to those schools. And also, you know, students from other CCISD campuses can come to those clinics, but we're really focusing on that major neighborhood, that school. Then in July, on the 26th and 27th, CCISD is partnering and participating in the Happy Health Fair. It's going to be held at Miller High School, and it's a community back-to-school health fair collaborative event between Lead First, Driscoll Health Plan, CCISD, and Driscoll Children's Hospital. And so we are currently having bi-monthly meetings that I've been attending. Dr. Askus is attending as well. And so the event is really back-to-school effort for our kids. Immunizations are going to be available, vision and hearing screenings, backpacks, and they're school appropriate. So the backpacks are for the children based on grade level, shoe vouchers, athletic screenings, numerous other resources for students and family. And that's going to be very widely advertised. Driscoll is kind of the driving force behind that, and I know you know that within our community they're very well known, very good at advertising things for us. So we'll be sharing more about that, posting on the CCISD website, so that our parents know that's available and resources for them. That is pretty much all we discussed. We said we'd individually kind of look at this year's current year at a glance for SHAC and see if there's anything that we felt like maybe needed a little more student employee health input into those areas, or things that we maybe could contribute a little more in those areas. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. That sounds
thank
amazing.
you.
Okay, do we have anyone for public comment?
Yes, we do. Thank you. Ms. Moore?
Hi, I'm on the SEL subcommittee, mental health, and I apologize I was not here. I had an appendectomy, which was so much fun. I really wish I could have been here. But so speaking on the subcommittee stuff, we're talking about our parents and stuff. What I have found is if we had something on our brand new wonderful CCISD website that had a parent resources, I have found that when I'm teaching about my stuff or whatever it is, it's like drinking from a water hose for a lot of parents, no matter what it is, but especially in this day with tech and all of that kind of stuff. And what I have found is having videos all in one spot where they can go and watch one video at a time and then revisit that video has been super helpful for them to be able to take in information and have those resources. Having a kid maybe go through the Canvas, and show how to do it may be really, really helpful. Because like you said, the way I understand my stuff is very different than somebody who's never heard it. So that was just my thought on that. My questions were about the Hope Symposium. You said that self-care was covered, and I'm wondering what that meant specifically, and if we could get a list of guest speakers. When we were talking about vaping, my questions were, it said Texas is one of the worst, and so I was wondering what the policies are of some of the best states that are rated, and are our responses, are those the same as the ones that the good states or the better rated states are using, out of curiosity? The DAEP and the tobacco, and I'm not up on this specific legislation, but does the state does not require DAEP for tobacco use? Does that mean they don't require that? My concern is the 3 days in that they're doing the DRP. I'm concerned that there's no academics with the way that our grades are right now is a problem. The 2 days a week for Amy Bull's presentation, are those during academic times and what teachers are covering this? Because as she stated about how important PE is and how these kids love the disc golf, I just wanted to see if that was done during PE time and how our time is being spent. And then we talked about building relationships with students and teachers. I just wanted to make sure that parents are involved in that. And thank you all so much for doing the subcommittees. Thank you so much for the new website. We really, really appreciate it. And I get to brag to all of the nonprofits that I work with across the state about our new website and stuff. So thank you all so much for that. And thank you for letting me be on the subcommittee. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, that about wraps it up. And we need to wrap it up. I don't know if anyone's interested. They will be announcing Teachers of the Year for the district in this room soon. So we're going to wrap up because they're going to flip the room for that. But if you have any questions, I know I'll stay and Dr. Arizmendi will as well. But excellent meeting today. Good job, everyone. Meeting adjourned, 2:41. Thank you.
Thank you.